Hello, and thank you for your interest in being a part of our host community, both at the Net and Providence. This is just a few-minute video to give you an idea of kind of the background, our understanding of hospitality, because, man, it is something we take so seriously. It's not just us, man, it's biblical. Hebrews talks about how you are to be prepared to host even angels in your midst. So we want to reflect that in our community. So we're glad that you're taking these few minutes to hear and process some of that with us. So what is hospitality? Hospitality is our ability to welcome in people into the house of God, not just this church, but into God's house. And we want to remove any and all obstacles that would prevent them from hearing the word, engaging in worship, feeling welcomed and accepted. So that's our job, that's our role. It is our privilege to be inconvenienced for our guests and for those that are coming in to worship. So what might be some characteristics that would prevent a person from being just an incredible host, right? There's some kind of high-level stuff. One, maybe you just feel like it's an obligation, just a duty that you're rolling in on a Sunday morning to do, and we're going to say, man, that's not going to create the best host. Maybe you're a little overly aggressive. Maybe you feel like it's your job that day and duty to make someone make a decision for Christ or whatever it might be. Or if you aren't the friendliest of folks, right? We all have lives that we're walking on a Sunday, but when we're here, it is to promote Christ and to bring that hospitality through our friendliness. And then lastly, being here on a Sunday morning, we want to be attentive. So distractions or being distracting or seeming distracted can sometimes prevent us from entering into being the hosts that we're called to be. An unfriendly or distracted host can be the deciding factor of whether or not someone shows up next week, and that is huge. Let's take a look at how things might go when you're hosting. First-time guests normally have no idea where they are going when they walk on our campus. If their first experience at the front doors of the church is of a host completely ignoring or otherwise cold shouldering them, this will probably not start the morning off right. On the other end of the spectrum, we also don't want guests to feel like they've walked into a shark tank during feeding time. Over-aggressive tactics that bring too much attention to our guests lead to feelings of discomfort and ultimately just makes us look desperate. Don't do this. While we want people to feel loved, we won't want them to feel smothered. As our guests begin to explore the many wonderful offerings of our church, the last thing we want them to feel is unwanted. You ever shown up to a party without an invitation? Not a good feeling when you get called out with everyone's piercing glances, right? Our guests should feel like exactly that, guests in our home. Guests will decide whether to come back to a church within the first 5 minutes of parking their car. That means hosts are a key ingredient to a good visit. Let's try this again. These hosts are helpful and attentive, providing directions and a friendly face. This allows our guests to begin to relax and feel at home. Hosts have the privilege of being the first people guests know at Providence. Start building a solid relationship from the first moment you meet. Eye contact, engagement, friendliness, all key ingredients. Hosts set the tone for the congregation, showing our church family how to truly welcome guests to Providence. They are the frontier creators. Be friendly and helpful, but don't overwhelm guests. Pay attention, but don't single anyone out. Give guests some space to fit in. Take some time to get to know new people. Remember, guests are just like you and me. They want to be known and belong. As a host, you are a real-life representative of God's unconditional love and Jesus on display to the world. Okay, so there it is, in 3 or 4 minutes, kind of what we're looking for. If you still feel called and feel like that's something God's putting on your heart to be a part of this host team, we're excited. But there's just a couple more steps that we'd like you to go through. Number one, there's going to be a covenant that we'd like you to sign. And it basically just gives us something, gives you something to hold yourself to, an accountability, a standard to which we are going to look to continue to be a host team with. And then number two, we're going to ask you to reach out to one of our host team captains and probably start to go through a training exercise to see all the different parts of the service and then choose which of those you think you feel most passionate about. So thank you, God bless you, and have a great rest of your day.